4th and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Target and goes in. Target and all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. I want to do a video here on how the Giants possibly, quite possibly, might have the answers to their offensive line woes on their roster as we speak. Now, let's not forget, they've had some problems in the past, all right? But one of the things is that sometimes it's lack of talent, sometimes it's lack of coaching, sometimes it's, the talent's there, the coaches can't get the best out of them. Sometimes, it's a combination of things. One of them is, have the guys work together? Like last year, there was no preseason, right? A lot of the guys were being shuffled in and out and all. They didn't really have much of a time to work together, to gel together. Hopefully this year, with the preseason, with training camp and all that, hopefully we'll get a better feel for each other. They'll get a better feel for each other, and when going into the season, they'll be a little bit better prepared. But let me just give you a couple examples here. Sometimes it's the talent you got there is just good, and sometimes it's you're not worried. It's not so much the coaching. Now, like Mark Colombo, okay. Now I wish the guy nothing. I don't wish anything bad on him. It just didn't work out. I mean, he wasn't a Joe Judge guy. He came here basically because of Jason Garrett, and that's it. I mean, so we let him go. But in 2019, when he was the offensive line coach of the Dallas Cowboys, they had a good offensive line. Well, may not have been because of Mark Colombo. I mean, let's look. They had Tyrone Smith, right? First-round pick. Connor Williams, second-round pick. Travis Frederick, first-round pick. Zach Martin, first-round pick. I mean, hello. They were pretty good because they had some pretty good talent. So may not have. The reason why they were pretty good may not have been because of the coaching. Then sometimes, all the coaching in the world may not help a talented line. Another example. From 1967 to 1977, that's 11 seasons, the Oakland Raiders made the playoffs 10 out of 11 years. So they had some good coaching. You're not making the playoffs 10 out of 11 years without some good coaching. John Madden was the head coach for quite a few of those seasons. But, I mean, the coaching on that team was very good. One of those seasons, 1971, it hasn't happened before, hasn't happened since, and probably with the parity in the NFL, ain't never going to happen ever again. The Oakland Raiders had on their team 5 future Hall of Famers on the offensive line at the same time. They didn't play every game together and all, but there were times where they had 5 future Hall of Famers on their offensive line at the same time. They had Gene Upshaw, the left tackle. Art Shell, left tackle. Gene Upshaw was the left guard. Jim Otto was the center. They had Ron Mix, who was a guard. And then they had Bob Brown, big dude. He was the right tackle. 5 future Hall of Famers for that one year, 1971. Remember I said from 1967 to 1977, those 11 seasons, the Raiders made the playoffs every year but one? The year they didn't make the playoffs, 1971, when they had 5 future Hall of Famers on their offensive line. So sometimes good coaching just doesn't help good players. It is what it is. Sometimes coaching can get the best out of a team and take them to great heights. Another point in hand. 1958 championship game, Giants and the Cowboys. Vince Lombardi was the offensive coordinator for the Giants. That was the championship game. It was the last game he was coach of the Giants. 1959, he took over as the coach of the Green Bay Packers. 1958, the Green Bay Packers were 1-10-1. 1958. 1959, Vince Lombardi took over, and they were 7-5. Made them win it. Basically the same team. The same team that was 1-10-1 and made them 7-5. And then the next year, 1960, they were 8-4. They won a division. They went on to the championship game, but they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 17-13 at Franklin Field. So it was coaching. Not maybe, you know, at the time, maybe not the greatest talent, but it was coaching. Got them to play to their absolute best. Another point in hand. Once again, Vince Lombardi, he left the Packers after the 68 season, so he took over as the coach of the Washington Redskins for 1 year before he passed away in 1969. So in 1969, he took over as the coach of the Washington Redskins. The previous 13 seasons, the Washington Redskins did not have a winning season. Vince Lombardi took over 1 year. Basically took the same team. They were 7-5-2. He made them a winner. As I said, sadly he passed away, so he wasn't their coach anymore after that. But he took a bad bunch of players and made them play to their best, and they were winners. Sometimes it's coaching. Another point in hand. Not many people were. I even had a hard time remembering that guy. But 1985, from Bill Parcells, we were looking for an offensive line coach. We got Fred Hoagland. He was drafted in the 6th round from the Cleveland Browns, 1966. He played from 1966 to 1976. His last season in the league, he played with the Seattle Seahawks, the expansion Seattle Seahawks, who came into the league, and then the Buccaneers came into the league in 1976. So he was coaching the Lions, and then in 1985, he became our offensive line coach, offensive line in 1985. Immediately that year, 1985, Joe Morris ran for 294 times, 1,336 yards, 4.5 yard average, but he had 21 rushing touchdowns. It was, and still is, Giants record. Coaching. And we also had Maurice Carthon in '86, unbelievable blocker, and we had Mark Bavaro too. Okay, it was coaching, but Mark Bavaro was a 4th round draft choice. Okay, so the following season, 1986, all right, he was still the offensive line coach, and then same thing with Joe Morris, had another phenomenal season. Ran the ball 341 times for 1,516 yards and 14 touchdowns. Phenomenal season. We went to the Super Bowl that year. The offensive line that year: Bensonard, Oates, Godfrey, Nelson, baby. The Killer Bees: Brad Benson, Billiard, Bart Oates, Chris Godfrey, and Carl Nelson. But and we had, as on the offensive line, we had Mark Bavaro, who was a 4th round selection. But on the offensive line, okay, Brad Benson was an 8th round draft choice. He was our left tackle, 8th round draft choice. Okay, then we had Billy Ard, the left guard. Now these are all protecting the blind side of Phil Simms. Billy Ard, 8th round draft choice. Then we had Bart Oates, our center, undrafted. Okay, then we had Carl Nelson, who was our right tackle. He was the best of them all. He was a 3rd round selection. Then finally we had Chris Godfrey, who was our right guard. He was undrafted. So on the team that went to the Super Bowl, and we were 14-2, best record ever for the Giants. Kicked the Broncos living crap out of them in the Super Bowl, 39-20. We had 2 8th rounders. The blind side were 8th rounders. We had 2 undrafted free agents on the offensive line, and we had a 3rd rounder. And we had Mark Bavaro, who was a very good blocker. He was a 4th rounder. Okay, so coaching. Took a bunch of guys that, you know, were not expected to do a heck of a lot, and he got a whole heck of a lot out of them. 2 8th rounders and 2 undrafted free agents, and we wound up winning the Super Bowl. Then, of course, we went, after 1990, we won another Super Bowl. okay, with Fred Hoagland as the coach. Fred Hoagland, he was around until Bill Parcells left after 90. Then we had Ray Hanley. Oh my God, I don't even want to talk about him. But we had him, unfortunately, sadly, for 2 seasons. Fred Hoagland was around after that. Okay, he left after Ray Hanley was gone. Okay, but you know, you got your coaching, you got your familiarity there. 1993, Fred Hoagland goes to the New England Patriots. Who's their head coach? Bill Parcells. Fred Hoagland's there for 4 seasons with Bill Parcells from 93 to 96. They go to a Super Bowl. They lost to the Packers, but they went to a Super Bowl. And, you know, he had familiarity with Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells got him. So Bill Parcells retired for the 2nd time, just before he went to the Jets. But after the 96 season, he went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He went to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars was Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin, once again, familiarity. In 1999, they were 14-2. They went to the championship game. They lost to the Titans, but they were 14-2. And the reason why was because Tom Coughlin was on the Giants coaching staff from 88 to 90. Tom Coughlin knew who Fred Hoagland was. Bill Parcells knew who Fred Hoagland was. Got the familiarity going on. When you get your own guys in there. When Bill Parcells went to New England, he got his own guy in there, somebody he was familiar with. Tom Coughlin got somebody he was familiar with in there. And Hoagland went to 3 Super Bowls, another championship game with the Jaguars. He knew what he was doing. Then we got with the Giants, they went to Pat Flaherty. He came with us in 2004 to 2015. Now, why does Pat Flaherty sound familiar? Well, that's because Judge just brought him back. Not as the offensive line coach, but he got him back, you know, to help out. And obviously we have Rob Sale. He's 41 years old. But familiarity. Rob Sale coached 1 year in high school football, 2006. The next year, he was in Alabama from 2007 to 2011. Okay? 2009 to 2011, Joe Judge was there. That's where the familiarity comes from. They won 2 national championships, one in 2009, one in 2011. Familiarity. Okay? So in 2007, when Pat Flaherty was here, okay, from 2004 to 2015, obviously we went to 2 Super Bowls, okay? But in 2007, Pat Flaherty, okay, he had David Deal, our left tackle, was a 5th round pick, okay? Then we had Rich Seubert, who was our left guard. He was undrafted. Then our center was Sean O'Hara. He was undrafted. Then we had Chris Snee, who was a 2nd round pick, who was taken right after Eli Manning in 2004. Then we had Kareem McKenzie, who was a 3rd round pick. So we had a 2nd, a 3rd, a 5th, and 2 undrafted free agents in the 2017 that went to and won the Super Bowl. And that year, Pro Football Focus, I mean, I can't go back all the way to the 80s and the 90s, but Pro Football Focus had them rated, their pass blocking grade was an 89.3. Their run blocking grade was an 89.0 in that 2017 with a 5th round, 2 undrafted free agents, a 2nd round, and a 3rd round. All right, coaching. All right, so then Pat Flaherty also took us. He was our offensive line coach in 2011. All right, he took 3 of those same guys, 5 guys. Okay, Deal, Snee, and McKenzie was still there, but David Boss was the center, and Will Beatty from Connecticut. He was our left tackle. All right, but he took that. He took Pat Flaherty once again as the offensive line coach. Took us to the Super Bowl, and we won once again. Great offensive line coach. It was coaching, raising the performance of the guys underneath them, right, to better heights. Now you have said we got with Joe Judge. Once he wasn't happy with Colombo. Colombo was not his guy. So now he's getting in somebody, pulling in Pat Flaherty, who's not necessarily familiar with, but Pat Flaherty was with the Giants, but he also brought in Rob Sale, who he is familiar with. And then you got Dave Gettleman putting all his chips in the table. Now, if anybody can pick a diamond in the rough, especially offensive line-wise, you got to give Dave Gettleman some credit. he's you know, he's done it before. He can do it again. And if him and Joe Judge, okay, and Rob Sale was there too when we were drafting, okay, if they're willing to put their reputation, their jobs on the line with the offensive line that we got, you got, the guys that we got, you got to hold out a little bit of hope. I mean, we got Andrew Thomas, first rounder, Shane Lemieux, fifth rounder. We got some undrafted. We got Jake Burton, undrafted free agent. Brett Heggie, undrafted free agent. Nick Gates, undrafted free agent. But then we got, then we got Zach Fulton, who's sixth rounder. Will Hernandez, second rounder. Matt Parrott, third rounder. Shane Lemieux, the fifth rounder. So we got guys, kind of all over the place. We got a first rounder, second rounder, third rounder, fifth rounder, sixth rounder, some undrafted free agents. Hodgepodge were the guys there, okay? So if anybody can, get the best of them, it's coaching. And if Joe Judge, Dave Gettleman, putting all the chips in the table with these guys, with Rob Sale, you got to give them some credit. You got to feel, if anybody can do it, I think it's Gettleman, Judge, and Sale, without a doubt. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there, and go Giants! Woo!